You want to know the truth? Most people are stuck in a life they didn't choose. They're running around trying to please everybody, parents, friends, strangers on the internet, and they're exhausted. You've been told your whole life to look outside of yourself for validation, for love, for approval. But here's the problem. The more you chase what's outside, the more lost you feel inside. And let me tell you something powerful. Everything changes when you flip the script. The moment you stop chasing people, stop explaining yourself, stop needing permission, and start focusing on you, on your growth, your peace, your goals, that's when things start to align. That's when doors open. That's when the universe moves. Focus on yourself, and I promise you everything you've been waiting for starts showing up. From the moment we're born, we're conditioned to seek approval. It starts with our parents clapping when we take our first steps. Then it's teachers giving us gold stars. Then it's friends liking our posts. And somewhere along the way, we forget that we were never supposed to live for someone else's applause. We get so tangled in the expectations of others that we lose sight of who we are and what we want. It's like we're actors in someone else's movie, waiting for permission to play the lead in our own story. The tragedy is that so many people spend their entire lives trying to meet standards they didn't set, chasing dreams that aren't theirs, and ignoring the one thing that actually matters, self-growth. You see, focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. You cannot pour into anyone else's cup if yours is empty. You can't show up for the world if you don't first show up for yourself. And when you begin to prioritize your own growth, something incredible happens. You start to reclaim your power. You begin to realize that your worth isn't determined by how many people approve of you. It's rooted in how deeply you approve of yourself. Self-growth teaches you to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, to dream bigger, and to walk away from anything that no longer serves your peace. Think about the last time you said yes when you really meant no. The discomfort you felt afterward? That's your inner voice telling you that you betrayed yourself. And when that becomes a pattern, your confidence takes a hit. You stop trusting your instincts. You start second-guessing everything. But when you begin to make choices from a place of alignment with your values, your goals, your needs, you start building self-trust. And that's the foundation of unshakable confidence. Every decision becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you invest in yourself, whether it's reading a book, hitting the gym, setting a boundary, or meditating, you're telling your mind, I matter. And when you truly believe you matter, you stop chasing people who treat you like you don't. One of the most powerful things you can do is to start your day by asking, what do I need today? Not what does the world need from me, not what will make others happy, but what do I need to feel fulfilled, energized, grounded? That simple question shifts everything. It puts you in the driver's seat. Because let's be real, when you're constantly living for others, you lose yourself. You become reactive instead of proactive. But when you focus on your own growth, you take back control. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. And personal growth is messy. It requires you to look in the mirror and get honest about your flaws, your patterns, your fears. But that honesty is the starting point of transformation. You can't grow if you're not willing to confront what's holding you back. And a lot of the time, what's holding you back isn't the world, it's you. It's your self-doubt, your procrastination, your fear of failure, your addiction to comfort. When you finally stop pointing fingers and start taking radical responsibility, that's when real change begins. It's not easy, but it's worth it.
His girlfriend cheated on him, bullies humiliated him, but he held on to his mother's promise.
Because every ounce of effort you put into becoming a better version of yourself compounds over time. There's this lie we're told that success means sacrificing ourselves, burning out, staying busy, constantly grinding. But true success is alignment. It's waking up and living in integrity with your values. It's looking in the mirror and being proud of who you're becoming. And that doesn't come from hustle. It comes from intentional growth. It comes from doing the inner work, from healing, from learning, from unlearning. And as you grow, your energy changes, your standards rise. You no longer tolerate chaos, disrespect, or anything that drains your spirit. You start attracting people and opportunities that reflect your worth because the energy you radiate becomes a signal to the world. People ask, how do I become more confident? You become more confident by keeping the promises you make to yourself. You said you'd work out, do it. You said you'd wake up early, get up. You said you'd stop texting that person who makes you feel like an option, block them. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you can trust you, and self-trust is the foundation of every strong person you admire. They didn't become confident because life was easy. They became confident because they did hard things and came out stronger. You don't build confidence by avoiding struggle. You build it by walking through it. Prioritizing self-growth also means being willing to let go. Let go of toxic relationships, let go of limiting beliefs, let go of the version of you that was created to survive, not to thrive. That version of you made it this far and you should honor them. But now it's time to evolve. And evolution requires discomfort. It means stepping outside your comfort zone, trying new things, risking failure, and showing up even when you feel afraid. Growth isn't linear. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, other days you'll feel stuck. But every step matters. Every effort counts. And over time, you'll look back and realize you're not the same person you used to be. And that's the goal. You are not here to live a copy and paste life. You are not here to mold yourself into someone else's idea of success. You are here to become the fullest, most unapologetic version of you. And that requires deep, consistent self-work. Not just the surface stuff, but the kind of work that rewires your thinking, breaks generational patterns, and opens you up to new levels of freedom. It means investing in your mental health. It means being disciplined even when motivation fades. It means choosing what's right over what's easy. Because the truth is, growth isn't glamorous. It doesn't get likes or go viral. But it's the only path to real fulfillment. And when you grow, the world around you shifts. People treat you differently. Opportunities start showing up. Your relationships improve, not because you're forcing anything, but because you're finally aligned. That's the thing most people don't realize. Your external world is a mirror of your internal world. If your life feels chaotic, look inward. If your relationships feel unbalanced, look inward. If you're not where you want to be, look inward. Everything starts with you, and that's not a burden, it's a blessing, because it means you have the power to change your life at any moment. You don't need permission, you don't need approval, you just need commitment. You might be thinking, but what if I mess up? You will. That's part of the process. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about falling and getting back up. It's about giving yourself grace while holding yourself accountable. And the more you do that, the stronger you become. The more you prioritize your well-being, your purpose, your peace, the more magnetic you become. People will start asking, what changed? And you'll smile because you'll know it wasn't the world that changed. It was you. You stopped waiting to be chosen and chose yourself. You stopped begging for attention and gave it to your goals. You stopped chasing love and became love. You stopped seeking validation and started building value from within. This is the power of self-growth. It transforms not just how you see the world, but how the world sees you. It creates a ripple effect that touches every area of your life. Your finances, your health, your relationships, your sense of purpose, they all expand when you expand. And it all begins the moment you decide that you are the project worth working on, not for a week, not for a season, but for life. Because you are the constant in every chapter of your story. And the more you evolve, the more that story becomes one worth telling. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop making excuses. If you want more peace, more clarity, more purpose.
Spectrum Mobile helps us stay connected because when I'm on the road, we can't go to bed without seeing each other's face.
Start with you. Look at your habits. Look at your mindset. Look at who you surround yourself with. Are they helping you grow or keeping you stuck? Are you living on autopilot or are you intentionally creating your life? These questions aren't easy, but they're necessary. because growth requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. But the reward is freedom. The reward is waking up and feeling proud of the life you've built, a life that's aligned, not just successful, a life that reflects your values, not society's checklist. And here's what's wild. When you focus on your own growth, you give others permission to do the same. You become a light. You inspire people not by preaching, but by being. Your energy speaks louder than your words. And that energy is created in the small moments, in the choices you make when no one's watching, in the discipline you build when it's inconvenient, in the self-respect you maintain even when it's hard. That's what personal growth looks like. It's not a big bang. It's a quiet, steady commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. And over time, everything around you begins to fall into place, not because you forced it, but because you became it. You became the kind of person who attracts alignment, not chaos. You became the kind of person who chooses purpose over pressure. And all of that started the moment you decided to prioritize self-growth over everything else. We live in a world where we are constantly told we need to be seen to be valuable. We scroll through curated lives on social media and start to believe that validation equals worth. It's almost as if we've been programmed to believe that unless someone else claps for us, our work doesn't matter. Unless someone approves of us, we don't deserve peace. That kind of thinking is dangerous. It keeps you stuck in a loop of dependency, always waiting, always performing, always needing someone to tell you that you're enough. But here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you stop chasing validation is the moment your life begins to align with your purpose. Validation is a drug. It feels good in the moment, but it's fleeting. It keeps you coming back for more. And over time, you become addicted to the feeling of being liked, being accepted, being applauded. The problem is, when you need someone else to validate you, they hold the power. Your emotions, your self-worth, your decisions, they're all dictated by someone else's approval. And that's not freedom. That's imprisonment. When you stop chasing validation, you take back your power. You stop living to impress and start living in alignment with who you really are. That shift might seem small on the surface, but it's seismic in your soul. There's something liberating about not needing everyone to like you. Because the truth is, not everyone will. You could be the most compassionate, talented, authentic person in the room, and someone will still have a problem with you. And if you live your life trying to avoid that, you'll end up betraying yourself in the process. But when you stop needing everyone's approval, you get to show up as your full self, unfiltered, unafraid, unapologetic. And that authenticity becomes magnetic. People can feel when you're not performing. They can sense when you're grounded in your truth. And ironically, the less you chase validation, the more respect you earn. Your purpose isn't tied to people's opinions. It's tied to your values, your vision, your voice. And when you live for validation, you silence all three. You second guess your vision. You shrink your voice. You compromise your values to keep people comfortable. That's how dreams die, slowly, silently, under the weight of trying to please everyone. But when you let go of that need to be validated, something extraordinary happens. Clarity. You start to see what actually matters. You start to hear your own intuition. You start to move differently, not to impress, but to express. You begin to align your actions with your soul's direction, not someone else's expectations. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most aligned, most proud of yourself. I guarantee those moments had nothing to do with being liked. They had everything to do with being real. Maybe it was when you stood up for yourself, even though it was hard. Maybe it was when you walked away from something toxic, even though it was scary. Maybe it was when you took a leap of faith, even though people didn't understand. That's purpose in motion. That's alignment in action.
The tabs you open here are also here. Choose Chrome to share tabs across devices.
And none of it required validation. It just required courage. The courage to be misunderstood, the courage to be different, the courage to be seen as you are. We live in a society that rewards conformity and punishes authenticity. It teaches us to blend in, to follow trends, to play it safe. But your purpose doesn't live in the crowd. It lives in the quiet spaces where you decide to choose yourself. And every time you do that, the universe responds. Opportunities align. People who match your energy show up. Paths open that you didn't even know existed. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped chasing something external and started building something internal. Purpose isn't found. It's revealed. And it's revealed when you stop running from who you are. You don't need another person to tell you that you're enough. You don't need more followers, more applause, more approval. You need intention. You need honesty. You need to sit with yourself and ask, what do I want? What do I value? What do I believe in? And then build a life around those answers. That's alignment. That's purpose. And once you start living that way, you begin to realize how much time you wasted trying to prove your worth to people who didn't even know who they were. You start to protect your peace. You start to value your energy. You start to understand that not every opinion deserves a response and not every audience is worth performing for. This is where transformation begins, not with a loud declaration, but with a quiet decision. A decision to stop chasing validation and start honoring your truth. A decision to stop people-pleasing and start purpose living. A decision to stop being available to anything that diminishes your self-respect. And once you make that decision, life begins to reorganize. The chaos starts to clear. The confusion starts to fade because you're no longer fragmented. You're no longer scattered. You're no longer editing yourself for the comfort of others. You are finally whole. And wholeness is the foundation of purpose. When you're aligned with your purpose, you become unstoppable, not because you're never afraid, but because fear no longer holds the wheel. You may still face resistance. You may still hear the doubts, but they no longer control you because you know who you are and where you're going. That kind of clarity is rare in a world built on distraction. But it's available the moment you stop outsourcing your worth. Your worth isn't up for debate. It's not a vote. It's not a popularity contest. It's a given. And when you live like you believe that, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. People will always have opinions. They will always project their fears, their limitations, their insecurities. That's not your business. Your business is to stay rooted in your purpose. Your business is to wake up every day and honor the calling that was placed on your life. Your business is to use your gifts, live your values, and trust that you are being guided, even when it doesn't make sense to others. And yes, that path is lonely at times. It's not crowded, but it's the only path that leads to peace, because peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being aligned. It comes from knowing that you're living your truth, regardless of who claps. One of the most freeing realizations you'll ever have is that you are not responsible for how others perceive you. You are only responsible for how authentically you live. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, your dreams, your boundaries. You owe yourself a life that feels true. And that starts with choosing purpose over performance. It starts with choosing presence over. It starts with saying yes to what aligns and a firm no to what doesn't, even if that disappoints others. Because their disappointment is not your failure. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Their opinions are not your truth. The more you align with your purpose, the less noise you tolerate. The gossip doesn't faze you. The judgment doesn't derail you. The rejection doesn't shake you because you're anchored. You've done the work to know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. That kind of certainty can't be faked. It's earned. And it's earned through moments of solitude, moments of reflection, moments where you chose yourself when it would have been easier to conform. That's the work. That's the path. And yes, it's hard, But what's harder is living a life that isn't yours. So stop chasing, stop explaining, stop molding. You were never meant to fit into a box you didn't build. You were meant to break the mold. You were meant to stand tall in your truth. You were meant to light the way for others, not by being perfect, but by being real. And that's the paradox. The more real you are, the more impact you make, the more honest you are, the more hearts you reach, the more you live on purpose, the more the right people find you. Not because you chased them, but because you attracted them. That's alignment. That's authenticity. And that's power. The world needs more people who are done pretending. More people who are brave enough to disappoint the crowd in order to honor their calling. More people who understand that purpose isn't a destination. It's a way of being. It's how you show up. It's how you speak. It's how you love. It's how you lead. And all of that starts with letting go of the need to be validated. You don't need the spotlight to shine. You don't need the applause to matter. You don't need the approval to be valuable. You just need to believe that your truth is enough, because it is. It always has been. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are being refined. You are being shaped. You are being prepared for something bigger than approval. You're being prepared for purpose. And every time you choose truth over performance, every time you choose alignment over attention, every time you choose your path over someone else's blueprint, you are stepping deeper into that purpose. And the beautiful thing is, when you live like that, you don't have to chase anything. What's meant for you begins to find you, because you're finally being you, fully, freely, fearlessly.
Wondering where this beach in your feed is located? Find it with the Google app. Just open Lens, search with a screenshot, and find that landmark to choose.
To feel worthy. You are giving